have been.
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
That's no move.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the Star Wars Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vedabonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
And just before I have no idea what to talk about, so I'm going to ask you about Squid Game, because you just mentioned it. Let's just talk about it right now. You've started watching it. What's it all about?
I've started and finished watching it, but the problem with it is you can't really... I mean, what it's about is revealed in the first episode, and it's cool the way it's revealed. But I think it's so much fun the way it's revealed that you sort of can't reveal it. So instead of me talking about the plot, I'll just say that the fandom for Squid Game reminds me a little bit of when I saw Star Wars in 1977, and how sort of at first you sort of heard a trickle of people talking about it. And then it was like, oh my God, then everybody was talking about it. And it was like all walks of life. It didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter if you were a gym teacher, you went to see Star Wars. I don't know why I said gym teacher.
Everybody's going to see Squid Game is what you're saying.
Yeah. So it sort of happened. It sort of snowballed this week. And then I got a text from my friend in Texas going, "What? Please tell me what you think of Squid Game." And I wasn't quite finished at that point. And so it's in line with with the films that you're watching for horror. I'll say that. It's in line with it, but that's it. That's all I can say at risk of spoiling it. And I think we should do a Media Nerds episode soon.
Okay.
To talk about it.
Is it a horror show? Horror based? I kind of know the simple premise. I don't want to look too much into it, but I know Brett McGarry really likes it. He's one of the Couch Potatoes. He thought it was excellent, and I've heard also lots and lots of people talking about it on Twitter. Lots of buzz, as you say, right? Like you're right. It is growing. It is growing.
My parents started watching it, and it was too much for them, is what I can tell you.
Okay. Well, then I will. I am going to do movies, but it's I'm basically kind of what I have been doing for that is just leaving the movie to the end of the evening. And as much as I said I want to schedule, this first week has been kind of off the cuff or whatever, because I haven't had time to plan it out. But the first week is simple because it's just movies I haven't seen before. So I'm just kind of looking through stuff and finding movies I haven't seen before. So the one I would just mention before we get into Star Wars stuff is Blood Quantum. Have you seen Blood Quantum?
No.
Okay,
no.
Well, I would love it. It's on Crave TV, and I just kind of went on Crave, looked under horror, and found it there. It's a Canadian film. Looks like it was shot in Quebec. Seems like it was shot in Quebec, but it's about an Indigenous reservation and a zombie apocalypse. That's pretty much all I really want to tell you.
Wow.
It's an Indigenous movie. It's about kind of that take on the zombie genre. It's really interesting and great. Like great performances, terrifying, gory. It's fast zombies. So I don't know if you like fast zombies, this will be one for you.
Sure, I do.
Yeah. It's great. I would definitely recommend it. If you're in the mood for a zombie movie, check out Blood Quantum.
Oh, I'm definitely going to check that out. That sounds great.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Star Wars. Finally getting to some Star Wars stuff. The big news last week was they released, now I guess there's two things here. They gave us the release date for the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett, and boy, did they just get it in under the wire there.
Squeezed it in.
Oh man, and that's true, right? They're going to do 1 week at a time. So really, this is going to be going into January of 2022, right? It's going to be released on December 29th, and then we'll go into probably February. I guess it'll be 9 episodes, right?
I can't. Do you have the episode list in front of you?
I'm bringing it up right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's 8 or 9, and I just checked because it just occurred to me. December 29th is a Wednesday. So they're going with Wednesday release. It looks like
just like Loki.
Right, exactly. I guess they liked what happened there.
Yeah, it must have done well on Wednesdays, and they also did that with what if? I keep calling it what the. I keep saying what the, but what if they did that as well? They did that on Wednesdays too. So yeah, interesting.
I guess new release day for Disney, but I would love it if they gave us 2 on the first one.
That would be great. And they have done. Have they done that before? I feel like they did that with the second season of Mandalorian. No,
did they?
I don't remember.
I don't think they did actually.
Wikipedia has no information for me about the episodes. Jeez. Oh, I love that one. Here's where you can stream Disney's new Star Wars series. That's good clickbait. Well, there's only one answer to that question.
That's my favorite. How can I watch so and so? Like really, what every Canadian wants to know is how can I watch so and so in Canada? And that's the thing you cannot find online to save your life. Have you noticed that?
Yes, and that is a problem in a lot of cases,
it is a
right?
Problem. Yeah. Like the Sopranos prequel. Where can I watch that in Canada? Well, get your ass to a theater. That's where you can watch it. Basically the answer.
Book of Boba Fett episode list. Oh, here we go. Oh, no. Okay, no, sorry. Wrong again. 17 episodes first season. Oh,
what?
Wait, no. What am I looking at here?
Oh, no. Guess what? That's also noteworthy.
Oh, I see. Okay, let's talk about that. Okay, 1, 2.
They're picking up the episode numbers from where The Mandalorian left off.
6, 7, yeah, 8 episodes. Okay, whoa, that threw me off. Okay, so it starts with chapter 17 and goes through chapter 24.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, why?
That's cool. Hey, part of the Mandalorian story. It's the same story.
Okay.
Which I like. I like that it's that's what they're doing.
Well, it's the Book of Boba Fett. So, like, if you think of the Mandalorian as the Bible, as the overall Bible of this, then this is like the Book of Job or whatever.
Right.
Like, you know how they have different things in the Bible? So this is the Book of Boba Fett. We could get another book. The next one, this might be the only thing we ever have focusing on Boba Fett, right?
Might be. I doubt it very much. but and especially with...
You're like, I hope not.
Well, now that we have so many people running around with Mandalorian armor on in live action, you know, like it becomes, I guess Boba Fett is where that all started, right? So it becomes, and as long as it's an outfit that anyone can kind of wear, you could, the story of Boba Fett could go on and on and on.
I mean, he did show up in the visions, right? In a few places.
Sure, yeah.
We had little kind of short, stocky anime Boba Fett.
We did.
Which is, he looks weird because you never see his face. You have to see the face of an anime character to make that connection. Yeah. But I think Boba Fett is one of the first characters we see in that one. And I didn't get it at first. I didn't understand. I thought it was Kid Boba Fett, right? I thought it was like, you know, how we saw Kid Greedo. It was Kid Boba Fett. But no, that was just anime Boba Fett.
Tatooine Rhapsody. She was a proud member of Tatooine Rhapsody.
Yes.
So I find it hard to believe that as long as you have, like, you can't do that with Luke Skywalker or whatever, but you can do that. You can keep the story going of any character wearing armor, or the idea that even Corn on the Cob, our favorite guy, that he was wearing the Mandalorian armor for a while. It sort of shows you where they could take it.
They also released the episode titles.
Yes.
In addition to the release date. So these are interesting. They all are the something, right? Is that how that's the theme here? The this, the that, the everything. Yeah. They all 2 words, the whatever. That's what it is. So the first one is called The Champion. What do you think this is? And then I'm looking on IMDb here. It says, know what this is about? Be the first one to add a plot. Well, okay, let's just add something here. Why don't we add a plot, Kenton, to the IMDb page?
Okay.
Of, what do we think this is about? The Champion.
Well, here, I'm going to throw this out, and because we have to see him escape from the Sarlacc pit in this series, right? We're going to get a flashback. Could the champion be, he beats the Sarlacc, he gets out of the Sarlacc? Is that the champion, or is the champion something? Or we saw him kill Bib Fortuna at the end of The Mandalorian of the last season.
I just assumed that was where we were going to pick up. I didn't think, like, I thought we might get the Sarlacc stuff in a flashback at some point.
Yeah, right.
So I didn't think that it would start there, but I mean, it could start there. It could start with that scene, right? Who knows?
And then you could just cut to the present.
Like, let's just go that. Think of that Peyton Oswald thing he did where on Parks and Rec, where he's like, the gauntleted glove of Boba Fett comes out of the Sarlacc pit, and he describes that as being the opening shot of his episode. I think it was his episode 7 or whatever. Anyway,
yeah,
that was a while back. But anyway, I would love to see that. Like, I think we all would love to see him climb out of that pit. But now he doesn't have a glove on because he loses his armor at some point, right? Before he has to take it off to get out or something.
Boy, the champion, that's so tough.
I don't think it refers to anything around Boba Fett. I think it describes something else, somebody else.
You think so?
In the episode, yeah. Because I think that these are all these things. So it's chapter 17, the champion, chapter 18, the assassin, 19, the syndicate, 20, the battleground, 21, the homeworld, 22, the warlord, 23, the showdown, and 24, the hunter. I don't think any of those describe Boba Fett. They're describing what's happening to Boba Fett. I think that's what that is.
The homeworld is interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
The homeworld of Mandalore, or the homeworld of, because Boba Fett would have been born on the cloning planet Camino.
So was he? Well, yeah. What happened to him?
I would say probably Mandalore, the homeworld of the Mandalorians.
But he's not really a Mandalorian. I think that's what this is going to be about, right? Boba Fett just kind of adopted the armor and the stuff that his dad did, but he wasn't raised with Mandalorian values, as they say.
I don't know. Was Jango Fett?
I don't know. I thought he was. I thought that was the point. Wasn't the armor and everything based on Jango Fett, who was an actual Mandalorian? I should know this. I don't know it.
Well, I mean, it's not fleshed out in the movies.
No, they didn't really make it too clear, and that was in the most boring movie of those movies. Of all the movies, I would say, is Attack of the Clones.
So the assassin, Fennec Shand.
Yes.
About Fennec Shand, because we know that she's on board this season, right?
We know, what's her name that plays that character is she's showing up in all kinds of different stuff, right?
So that's interesting too. I mean, are we going to see some Hutts?
Yeah, well, the syndicate makes me think either Hutts or it makes me think of what's the other one? The one that Darth Maul's in charge of?
Yeah, that's it. Crimson Dawn. It's got to be
Crimson Dawn. That's what I was. Yeah, that's what I thought of. Maybe Crimson Dawn. That's what they should be doing, I think.
Ooh, that's clever. Or the bounty hunter, the guild.
Yeah, it's a guild. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. They would have called it the guild.
Yeah,
I think.
The syndicate.
Syndicate.
It's got to be crime syndicate. So it's either Hutts or Crimson Dawn or whatever the stupid. I don't think they would go as far as to bring the Prince Caesar thing into canon yet. We're not that desperate.
Wait, and this is post Return of the Jedi, which I keep having to remind myself. So it could not be Darth Maul in charge of any syndicate at this point, based on what happens. Rebels.
Darth Maul is long gone at this point, but it does continue on. Something continues on. Maybe it doesn't. You're right. So there's a stronger argument for it to be a Hutt thing, because I don't really know. Like anytime I hear syndicate referred to in Star Wars, it's some kind of crime syndicate, right?
Wait, what's the guild? The Mandalorian guild, is that a bounty hunter guild? Or
I guess so. Yeah, it's because it's not just Mandalorians in that guild; it's all kinds of bounty hunters, right?
Because I would really like Boba Fett to regroup with Bosk and Dengar and the gang from Empire Strikes Back,
or maybe we can see how they got together in the first place, right? When he first met those guys.
It could be. I hope it's them. I would love it if we brought them back.
That would be great. Yes,
they certainly all couldn't be alive. But
we don't know how long those guys live.
We're imagining they're living rough lifestyles, you know. I think Bosk would be alive. I don't. The Zuckuss and Forlom, I don't know about them. I guess we could learn about them.
And Dengar, I think, is the most likely to have died out of all of them.
No, because remember they had.
Oh, he's in. You're right. Yeah. He's the one who's alive, who's guaranteed to be alive because he's in the other ones. They
made him look like a plastic surgery casualty.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
he's in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Well, where is he in there? I don't know. I don't know.
The crime planet where they go to find Zori Bliss. It's coming back to me bit by bit as we talk about it.
And I think he's most notable for being in Pablo's book, where you get the best look at him. And don't they call him? They got some new name for him because he's now part droid at this point. I remember. I think.
Yeah, I don't remember what he was called, but yeah, I think that would be a good idea for them to get some of those guys back together, and see what that's kind of the area of Star Wars I want them to explore with Boba Fett. Let's keep him in the crime world. That is what Boba Fett is about. It's not about Mandalore. Mandalore is different in the crime world, and for a long time, I think we all thought it was the same thing, right? I think we always assumed that a Mandalorian was Boba Fett, and Boba Fett is a criminal, so therefore all Mandalorians are criminals. But they've kind of fleshed that out in other shows and stuff to not be true.
I have just thought of something for the first time that I just realized. Wasn't Bib Fortuna on Jabba's barge?
It looked not the barge. I thought it was the throne room, like where the Rancor.
No, but I mean, in Return of the Jedi, do we see Bib Fortuna on the barge?
Oh, when it blows up.
Yeah.
I don't know idea. I mean, he could have jumped off. We can rewatch it and see. But I think the premise here is that they're saying he wasn't.
That's right. I know they are, but that's why I was like, okay, well, who else might have been on there who like dove off? We know Jabba's dead. But who else might have been on there who we would imagine has blown up, but who hasn't?
From Jabba's palace? From Jabba's guards and stuff? I can't think of any other notable characters other than the droid boss guy who might show up. They could bring back that guy. The guy's like, you'll feisty one. You know that guy? You'll soon learn your respect. They will have... Yeah, they could have him. He would be at the palace, right? He would be at the main palace, not on the barge. Because I have use for you.
I got to go back and watch Return of the Jedi.
I think it's time. Yeah, that's kind of what this is prompting us to do, right? I noticed that a lot of the stuff on Disney Plus, and we'll talk about this Galaxy of Sounds in a second, but a lot of it seems to just try to be pointing us back to watching more Star Wars. Because that's what I was feeling as I was watching and listening to the Galaxy of Sounds. I'm like, speaking of you're just talking about Jabba's sail barge, they have that scene, like part of that scene in the Droids episode. Sorry if I'm spoiling that for you. I don't know which one that was, but there's one that's just Beeps. It's called Beeps, and it's all the droid stuff. So that's really cool. Anyway.
Yeah, no, and I watched most of them. Hang on, I'm doing a quick search. I want to see Bib Fortuna, Jabba.
Was he on the barge? These are the burning questions we need to answer.
I just want to know what we're being asked to expect here.
Right, yeah.
The Flight of Fancy.
Now while you're looking that up, I'll say that Steele Saunders told us that he had went there where they shot that scene and found pieces of foam from the Sarlacc pit. We might have to go back to the actual scene of the crime and determine if we can find Bib Fortuna, pieces of Bib Fortuna on set.
I got the answer.
Okay.
According to 1996's Tales from Jabba's Palace from M. Shane Bell, Fortuna survived the sail barge explosion in Return of the Jedi by escaping on a private skiff. He then traveled back to the palace with the intent of taking over Jabba's position.
And what year was that again?
They wrote that in 1996, so that has to mean the only way that they would have written that is if we do see Bib Fortuna on the skiff, and we must.
Okay, yes, you're right. Yes.
Yeah, we must.
Okay, well, I still want to rewatch Jedi. We'll rewatch that stuff. But, yeah, that's the only reason, because otherwise they wouldn't have had to explain it, right? So
Right.
Yeah, okay, interesting.
I'm looking at
but how are they going to explain it in canon? Because that's not canon. Anything written in the 90s is legends. So they can make it canon, I guess. Like maybe we will see a scene in which we see him escape from the barge. Maybe we'll see that scene created in this series.
Well, I was almost hoping that we would see the series would start with the end of Return of the Jedi. That could be super cool. But here's the other thing. Does Boba Fett want to get revenge on Luke Skywalker for being the one who showed up and knocked him in the thing? And Han Solo's still around at this point. Does he still wish to get vengeance on Han Solo?
Well, I mean, so does, like, remember in Force Awakens with the Kubla Khan, or what was the gangs after Han? Remember, he pissed off a bunch of people in that one. So presumably, yes, he would want to go after Han Solo for sure. And yeah, I would see he's probably got a vengeance against Luke, right?
I mean, this could
Who
go
knocked him in there?
Places.
Luke did, or did Han knock him in there? They both did. Really, they're both responsible.
One of the things that Mandalorian had to do was get Boba Fett out of there in a hurry before Luke showed up. Because if Boba Fett was around for that, then he might go, "That's the guy who knocked me in, and I'm going to get him."
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Become this whole thing, but you want to save that for Book of Boba Fett. But I don't know. I don't think we're going to see Luke Skywalker in these chapters. I wish it would be kind of cool. I don't think so, though.
Yeah, I don't think they're quite. The technology isn't quite there for, like, if we did, it would be another really quick scene like the one we saw in The Mandalorian, because the technology. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't really buy it. You said you did, but it only works for short periods of time, that face morphing technology, right? Before you start to question it. Like, that's part of the reason why Tarkin doesn't work very well in Rogue One, because it's for very long scenes. In my
Well, every
opinion.
time they do it, it gets a little better. And it will get, I'm sure it'll get to the point where it's great. There's no doubt. I mean, it's headed in that direction. De-aging seems to be what people are more into than a complete digital recreation.
Hollywood loves it. They get the same effect with none of the work.
I guess Peter Cushing's estate got some money. They agreed to for that to happen. But what are some of the other titles that you've got there?
Okay, so 17 the Champion, 18 the Assassin. We said that's what's her face?
Fennec Shan.
Syndicate, the Battleground, chapter 20, the Battleground.
Ooh,
What do
cool.
you think that is? Could be. Is there a Battleground related to Boba Fett that we know about? That's what I could think of.
Don't know. I like it. I like the sounds of it.
Yeah, hope there's a battle in that one.
There will be.
Chapter 21, the homeworld. We talked about that.
Yeah.
It could be Mandalore. It could be some other homeworld, Geonosis or wherever. Or no, sorry.
Camino.
I said Geonosis. You said Camino. Could be that. The Warlord. Who's a Warlord?
The Warlord. Another hut.
Another hut. Yeah, could be another hut. Could be, this is after the Syndicate, so it could be related to the Syndicate. Somebody who's broken off from the Syndicate.
Yeah, that's interesting. Could be Boba Fett himself. Could be the Warlord. But
He could be turning into the Warlord at this point.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, I would love to see, because he is a bad guy. Traditionally, Boba Fett is a bad guy, but he's always been a bad guy that we love, mostly just because of his look and and just kind of what he represents. But I would love for them to go like a Breaking Bad style with this and have him start as a character that we're kind of liking and then make him really evil at the end. Like I would love for him to turn evil and be actual bad guy and align with whoever the bad guys are in Mandalorian or whatever and be on the other side of this. That would be so cool.
They made him too noble in the Mandalorian. And so now I think he's on track for some good PR. I think this series, I think he's going to do some noble thing.
Chapter 23 is the showdown. I assume that is it is the penultimate episode, which is all frequently the one in which the big conflict happens or the big battle happens or whatever it is going to happen in that one clearly. And then chapter 24 is the hunter. And maybe that's what he becomes. Maybe he becomes the hunter at the end.
Maybe. Because, what's this? What's the chapter before that called?
The showdown.
The showdown. Are we expecting the Mandalorian to show up?
Possibly, yeah. That would be great to tie that in as we what's it, Cassian Andor? If we're going to be sliding into Andor season 1, I don't know. I'm just making this stuff up.
Andor would be dead.
Would he be? Oh yes, that's right. Sorry,
he would be dead.
So mixed up.
Oh, I know. It's so hard getting your mind around the timeline.
No, it'll be killer. Okay. You're right. It'll slide into the next season of The Mandalorian or into something else. The book of what's her name? Cara Dune. The chapter of Cara Dune. No, that one was edited out.
There's been all kinds of clickbait about Cara Dune returning to the Mandalorian.
They're gonna like get someone else to play her and then CGI the face. They're gonna do the same thing.
That'll show her and then kill her.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So, it's pretty. I mean, I hope the Mandalorian shows up at some point. Though they were on the same page when we said goodbye.
And so, I think does Boba owe Mando or Mando owes Boba? One of them owes somebody something, right? In that whole thing, or are they even now?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
They left on good terms. Like he dropped them off where they needed to go, and he took off to go kill Bib Fortuna. And so I don't think they have any lingering anything. But now that Mando has the dark saber, I mean, who knows what that brings out of the woodwork. And I don't know that they're going to tie the Boba Fett into that story other than that chapter called The Homeworld, where it's possible. There's also all those other Mandalorians running around. Bo-Katan and et cetera. Like, I don't know, like that's possible that we'll see them.
Yeah, or they might get their own chapter in the next season.
Their own book or their own chapter?
Their own book. Sorry, their own book. The Book of Bo-Katan. There you go. Yeah. Could be the next one. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be eagerly waiting on December 29th for the first episode to drop, for crying out loud. Now I know what I'm doing on New Year's. No, I don't.
Oh yeah, I'll be yeah. Well, we're more or less still on lockdown, basically, the way things are going.
And also dead of winter in Winnipeg. We're not really doing much anyway. That's really not a big.
That tends to kill New Year's Eve a lot of the time. -40.
But it is kind of sneaky how they got that in there. And maybe they did originally hope to have it at the beginning of December and they had to push it back or something. I don't know. But I felt that's kind of underhanded for them to say, coming 2021, and then go right to the end of 2021. Come on, guys.
No, exactly.
All right, so Galaxy of Sounds. That was kind of cool, eh?
It was very cool. It's very cool. I loved it.
When I was watching it, this is something, if you are not familiar, it popped up in my on Disney Plus as I'm scrolling through and watching other stuff. Kind of starts with scenes from, like CGI heavy scenes from the prequels, right? So we got like, these big ships and the sounds of the and that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, Star Wars has always been known for the great sound of those movies, right? Even the original movie has such great sound.
Oh yeah. And it says right off the top, or is it off the top or at the end? It's a tribute to the sound designers.
Yeah, at the end of every episode, it says that. Yeah, all the artists and everybody who's worked on sound, starting with Ben Burtt, of course, being the original sound designer for the first film, and he came up with all the brilliant sounds of like R2-D2 and the lightsaber and these iconic Star Wars sounds. I mean, I can't imagine Star Wars without these sounds, right?
And I thought the reels also work. They're so short; they're only 6 or 7 minutes each, but they work as a greatest hits, a Star Wars greatest hits, where you could just put it on and just have it playing in the background and just let it wash over you. It's pretty good. I thought it was quite a nice. It's a pretty appealing way, and to enjoy Star Wars, but the transitions between the modern era and the past era, and sort of like Rogue One suddenly pops in and some of that stuff. I thought it was very well done, and I was surprised at how the warm feelings I had for things like Rogue One, for scenes from Rogue One and other stuff where I was like, oh, wait a second. And even General Grievous, where I was like, oh, that's a cool scene sort of thing. Like
that movie does have its moments.
Yes. In moderation, seeing clips from all the films make a great case for the Star Wars saga, I thought. So it's kind of fun to watch through those. I still have 2 to go, but the ones I watched were just great. Oh,
so you did watch the droids one then? That was number 5.
Yes, I did. There's only 2 I did not watch. And I noticed one of them was a little shorter. I think the dark side was 1 minute shorter than the light side or something. It was something like that.
Oh,
it was like you couldn't fill that
all
extra
8
minute.
minutes long, except for Excitement is 9 minutes. That's the second episode. And then the dark side is 7 minutes. So they took a minute off of the dark side and put it into Excitement. And then everything else is 8 minutes. They're all the other ones are exactly 8 minutes. So yeah, and dark side, light side. So the episode titles are Wonder, which is kind of these Marvel, the wonders of Star Wars, so big sweeping scenes, big starships. Excitement is like the pod race scene and chases and that kind of stuff. Fast, really exciting stuff. And there's one, of course, all about the dark side. So all the dark side moments, rather, involving Darth Vader and Maul and all those other Darths. No, is that it for Darths? How many Darths are there?
Well, the expanded universe, Darth Revan.
That's right.
I mean, there's a million.
There's a million Darths. Yeah. And then, of course, the light side, doing a similar thing for all the light side figures. When I first started watching, I thought it was like the biomes, where it was just a scene that they made. Like, biomes is basically just a computer-generated scene that is like the background of something, right? So there's nothing really happening in it. It's just like ships flying around or animals or whatever, depending on what it is. I thought that's what this was, but it's not. It's actual scenes from the movies.
Yeah, it's good.
They're cutting together clips from the films and emphasizing the sounds. All the dialogue is stripped out.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool the way that works with the dialogue being stripped out, because there's actually cut together scenes where like when Watto rolls the dice and he rolls them, and then you see something happen, and then you see Liam Neeson go, whoa, shrug. And you're like, I'm sure I don't think that's how the scene plays out in the original, but the way they've edited it together, it's fun. I was like, that's a silent version of what happens in that scene. So I just thought it's cool. It's like you could put it in black and white and make it like Charlie Chaplin or something. No?
That's interesting. I would be interested to look through I would take the time to do this, but someone will, right?
Oh, yeah.
Take the time to look through and compare the cuts of this to the original cuts and see if they actually modified the scene significantly to make it work better. Because those sound effects are kind of like in this actual scene, they are drawn out to make room for the dialogue. So they do feel tighter together. And it took me a while to realize that they had stripped out the dialogue because so much of it is just the sound, right? And they're doing a really good job of cutting it together so seamlessly that you don't even realize that they're cutting out I didn't notice it until, I don't remember which one it was, but they when they started, like, you could actually see there was one scene and the character didn't say anything, or the character was supposed to, and I remembered that and then didn't, right?
I also like how they cut in the Mandalorian scenes.
Yes.
Scenes from the
I was
movies.
surprised.
Yeah, me too. And because that's where you see, like, holy crap, it's on par with what we've seen in movies before. It does not stand out as being like, a live production TV show. Like, it right up against the films, and you're like, no, it's the same. It's matches. Those
seasons are movies, basically. You just put it together and make it a 8-hour movie, or not a 5-hour movie, or whatever it ends up being if you put the episodes together. Like, that is what that is. Yeah. Right? And it shows that they consider The Mandalorian to be up there with the movies as well.
Yeah.
And then, therefore, we should consider all of these shows to come out, right? Because the book, starting with the Book of Boba Fett, to be as good as Star Wars films.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Elevating it to that point.
Absolutely. And yet, when you watch them, you also get like some of the scenes, like the Millennium Falcon flying through the clouds and then flying up and coming back. Like those are just like the stuff from the original trilogy at this point, or Luke looking into the sunset, which is how one of them ends. And you're like, those have almost, as I said, they almost look like Casablanca compared to the way films look now.
Yes.
You watch it now and you're like, Jesus Christ, like that. You sort of forget that what CGI looks like compared to what it doesn't look like. And when you see some of the model work from the original movies and that stuff, it's like, it's really impressive how well they made that look. Consider it's 1977, for goodness sakes. Like, it's crazy.
It is. And I know they're remastering it and doing whatever they do with it and making it, cleaning it up and making it look great. But I still say, and I have I don't even know where that is actually. Somewhere I have my original DVD trilogy, like the first time I bought that DVD trilogy of the original trilogy. And first time I watched it, and this is a long time ago, it was like early 2000s, I think, right? When the DVDs started coming out. And I was blown away by how crisp, Empire Strikes Back in particular, that opening scene on Hoth, that looks amazing. Yes. And watch it now on like an HD or whatever, 4K or whatever, it looks amazing. It looks so good. And it only looks that way because it was shot that way. So yeah, those films that's why they stand up, is because of the quality, for sure. And you're right about even movies. I've been watching lots of scary movies, not too many older ones, but when I watch movies that were made even in the 90s, which I feel is like my decade, they're like, oh, this looks so old. The fashion is old and everything about it feels old. It looks like almost grainy, right? It feels like Casablanca, where it looks like, it looks like a different quality of film.
Yes.
Kind of like the 70s movies have that as well. Some 70s movies have that quality of film look, and 90s as well. And then, that's something that Star Wars never had.
Right. It's odd. And of course they've been updated over the years too. Like, I remember when we first saw the Hoth scenes in the theater, there was like you could almost see through the dashboard of the snowspeeder. Like, they were still trying to get that blue screen right. But over the years they fixed it. And so it's just as crisp and clear as anything. But you're right. Like, 90s videos all have that saturated, like music videos, which of course gets reflected in movies, have that saturated color look, where it's just like so much saturated color. But
so much neon.
Right. But when you watch like Martin Scorsese 70s movies, it's the same thing. It's the grainy, like they're gritty films, and the film looks gritty along with the film, along with the story. Like, if you watch Mean Streets, you're like, this is gritty. Like, this is dirty. The film looks dirty, like it needs a good cleaning. So it's amazing that they all fit together so well. It's fun to see. I'm kind of cherishing the last two here that I have to watch.
Yeah, and it says season 1, so I guess they'll give us more. And it does seem like these are little projects, these little things they're kind of sprinkling in, I guess, to keep us sated. I was talking about last episode how I wish they want to. They should line these up better, so we're always going to get Star Wars. Well, this is what they're doing to keep us satisfied with Star Wars content until the next thing comes out. And they're just saying, just watch the movies again. That's all you need to just watch the movies again. That's all you need to do. Just watch them again. You'll be satisfied. And it'll tide you over until Book of Boba Fett. So I guess it's time to watch the movies again.
Watch the movies again. And 2022, we're going to get Book of Boba Fett, Andor, probably Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, I'm trying to think what else is. And when does Rogue Squadron come out?
2023, I think that one is.
Okay, so next year, I think.
Summer, that one's going to be like, I think, summer or December 2023. I'm not sure. But yeah, there's
going to be a lot
next year. So yeah, next year, it might actually line up next year. You're right. We might actually get that happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, either way, it's still exciting to be a Star Wars nerd. Exciting time to be a Star Wars nerd.
Well, hey, Marvel this year gave us 3 in a row. They gave us WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki, all sort of one after the other. And wouldn't that be great if Star Wars could do the same thing?
I think it would be.
Oh, I'd love it. And they gave us a terrible Black Widow movie.
Which is now available on. It's so funny because I paid for that. I stupidly paid for the early access fee, $30, and then I had the ability to watch it this entire time. And now, of course, it's available for everybody. And by the way, we got to wrap things up. But while we're on the subject of Disney Plus, Free Guy is also on there already, which was mere weeks after I paid to see it in the theater, and I went on opening weekend. I swear to you, it was less than a month or even a month between opening weekend and when that came out on Disney Plus.
And now it's on D Plus. I didn't know that.
You can go ahead and watch Ryan Reynolds.
Oh my God!
And it's not bad. I'll say this: if you want to watch it, I would recommend it. It's fun.
Oh, I want to watch it.
There you go. You can watch it for free on Disney Plus as opposed to shelling out more than $100 for the family as I did. But it was also our first movie back. It was fun. It was our first kind of back to movies kind of thing. So it was a good experience, and I don't regret it.
I've already mentioned it once, but last week I had the urge to see the Sopranos movie, and I was like, maybe I'll go to the theater and see it. And slowly the reviews started trickling in, and they weren't that good. They were a little tepid. And I've even seen some that say, I've gotten as far as ones that are like, and they really screw it up in the final scene. I'm like, no, I don't read it anymore. But what all this has done is what you and I have talked about all along, which is, if the reviews aren't great, you're just as well to make it available on demand on opening weekend, because what the hell, you got nothing to lose. You'll make some more money if you do that.
You might get a few more subscriptions, right? Yes, and if you do it on demand, because I think they also make it on demand. Well, maybe they don't for Disney Plus. I know that other movies, they make it on demand on like main VOD and other platforms, or on Prime you can get on demand stuff. Like there's other ways. There's a couple different options as far as how to watch these movies. But anyway, getting back to Star Wars, here's what I propose. I just kind of came up with this. I propose a rewatch of Star Wars, all the movies, culminating in the Rise of Skywalker, which we will record us watching together. That gives us good lead time.
How long? So when do we start?
Well, we can start whenever we want. I would rather wait till November because I'm watching a lot of horror movies right now.
Oh,
so
sure.
Let's wait until I finish my horror movie thing. But in November, we can probably get through. I think if we did one per week, like we could do one per week and just talk about it every week.
Yeah.
And then that would be 9 weeks until the beginning of Book of Boba Fett, right?
In the order they came out, or by episode?
I don't know. What do you think? What would you want to do?
Chronologically.
Or machete order. Maybe we do machete order.
Machete means we're skipping movies, so we can't do that.
Right. We can't.
Yeah.
Right. We don't.
No, so it's either going to be
order release. I think. Pablo said it best. You can only watch the movies in the order in which they came out. So, the best way to watch Star Wars is to watch the first one in 1977, the second one in 1980. That's what his answer was, but not everybody can see it that way. But yes, let's watch the original first movie and watch it in order of release. I think that's the best way to go.
So starting in November, that sounds good.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm in.
All right, let's do it. And we won't record everything, but we will record.
Yeah.
We can come together. I think maybe we could switch just to Star Wars Nerds every week for that time.
Sure.
Because we're just going to go right into Book of Boba Fett. We're going to want to talk about that every week anyway. So maybe we just,
definitely.
Hiatus from media nerds and back into Star Wars nerds. And then
we usually do that when there's no school in session.
And honestly, December is kind of a Star Warsy time, so that's actually not a bad time to do it. So, all right, let's do it.
Perfect.
There we go. And we can invite all the listeners, of course, to watch it along with us. So we'll get that going. We'll talk about that on social media, and we'll have a big. See if we can maybe do some watch parties or something. Be fun. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
That's gonna do it for this episode of the Star Wars Nerds. I'm Dan Vadabonker.
I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the Force hit you on the ass.
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Now I am the master.
I'm taking an awful risk, Vader. This had better work.
I don't know. I can imagine quite a bit. We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some